show, the show to inspire you, encourage you, and bring out the best in you. We do this by bringing on guests from different places, diverse communities, diverse professions, and diverse lifestyles. I'm Aidoo, and I have to tell you that I have enjoyed this journey of speaking to different people from different backgrounds as I myself improve myself, learn, and continue to be a voice of hope and inspiration. This has been a little bit of and bring out the best in you. We do this by bringing on guests from different places, diverse communities, diverse professions, and diverse lifestyles. I'm Aidoo, and I have to tell you that I have enjoyed this journey of speaking to the Aidoo show, the show that aims to inspire you, encourage you, and bring out the best in you. We do this by bringing on guests from different places, diverse communities, diverse professions, and diverse lifestyles. I'm Aidoo, and I have to tell you that I have enjoyed this journey of speaking to different people from different backgrounds as I myself improve myself, learn, and continue to be a voice of hope and inspiration. This has been a little bit of a rough week. It's allergy season in Canada, and man, allergy is not sparing me at all. But I had to go and look good. So I look good to all of you and I make you smile. At the same time, I got a bit of discouraging news, which put me down a bit. But I decided I was going to have faith, pull myself up, and come to you all with a bubbly spirit and also a poem that talks about faith. So here we go. It says, a friend of mine once asked me, just how could I believe in someone I never saw, nor spoken words received? I thought perhaps I should explain just why I have no doubt that it was God's creativeness to the Aidoo show, the show that aims to inspire you, encourage you, and bring out the best in you. We do this by bringing on guests from different places, diverse communities, diverse professions, and diverse lifestyles. I'm Aidoo, and I have to tell you that I have enjoyed this journey of speaking to different people from different backgrounds as I myself improve myself, learn, and continue to be a voice of hope and inspiration. This has been a little bit of a rough week. It's allergy season in Canada, and man, allergy is not sparing me at all. But I had to go and look good. So I look good to all of you and I make you smile. At the same time, I got a bit of discouraging news, which put me down a bit. But I decided I was going to have faith, pull myself up, and come to you all with a bubbly spirit and also a poem that talks about faith. So here we go. It says, a friend of mine once asked me, just how could I believe in someone I never saw, nor spoken words received? I thought perhaps I should explain just why I have no doubt that it was God's creativeness that brought this world about. I only have to look around to know that He is there. I see and feel and hear Him. That's why I'm so aware, even in my difficulties. I see Him in the raindrops that nourish trees and flowers. I see Him in the rainbows that sometimes follow showers. I see Him in a mother's love when looking at her child. So thankful for this miracle. It's pure and undefiled. I see Him in the wrinkled face that's seen so many years, knowing it was faith in Him that overcame all fears. I hear Him when a meadow lark trills out its joyful song. I hear Him when the thunder comes forth so loud and strong. I see the beauty in Him, in the butterflies on wing. The feathers of the peacock are the colors He can bring. I feel Him when a joyful breeze blows the Aidoo show, the show that aims to inspire you, encourage you, and bring out the best in you. We do this by bringing on guests from different places, diverse communities, diverse professions, and diverse lifestyles. I'm Anna Aidoo, and I have to tell you that I have enjoyed this journey of speaking to different people from different backgrounds as I myself improve myself, learn, and continue to be a voice of hope and inspiration. This has been a little bit of a rough week. It's allergy season in Canada, and man, allergy is not sparing me at all. But I had to go and look good. So I look good to all of you and I make you smile. At the same time, I got a bit of discouraging news, which put me down a bit. But I decided I was going to have faith, pull myself up, and come to you all with a bubbly spirit and also a poem that talks about faith. So here we go. It says, a friend of mine once asked me, just how could I believe in someone I never saw, nor spoken words received? I thought perhaps I should explain just why I have no doubt that it was God's creativeness that brought this world about. I only have to look around to know that He is there. I see and feel and hear Him. That's why I'm so aware, even in my difficulties. I see Him in the raindrops that nourish trees and flowers. I see Him in the rainbows that sometimes follow showers. I see Him in a mother's love when looking at her child. So thankful for this miracle. It's pure and undefiled. I see Him in the wrinkled face that's seen so many years, knowing it was faith in Him that overcame all fears. I hear Him when a meadowlark trills out its joyful song. I hear Him when the thunder comes forth so loud and strong. I see the beauty in Him in the butterflies on wing. The feathers of the peacock are the colors He can bring. I feel Him when a joyful breeze blows gently through my hair, when the sun shines warmly on my face. I know that He is there. His strength shows in mountains and the ever-pounding seas. A kitten's purred affection shows how gentle love can be. It's true, I have no pictures to hang upon my wall. I do not need a portrait, His presence to recall. For those who wish to listen, it is played throughout the land, the symphony of life itself, directed by His hand. This week, I had to lean into my belief that there's a higher power, there is God, who controls my every move and my every act, who controls the disappointments and takes care of them, who comes through when fear is knocking at your door. So I thought, let me find a poem that would speak to me and to you who is going through. And it's written by Alora M. Knight. I hope you enjoyed the poem. Before we go on, let me take a sip of water. Today's show is one that I'm very, very, very proud of. I'm very proud of the young lady that I knew who has turned into a powerful, strong woman who is making a difference. One way or the other, she's doing good. I know the journey is not easy, but I want to show you what our young people can do so that we can throw our support behind them in everything they do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Aisha Addo from Power to Girls Foundation. Hello, Miss Aisha.
Hello, Miss Anna. Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you for joining me on this journey once again. You and I go a long way, and I have to say that I'm very, very proud of you. You know that.
Yeah, thank you. I
I'm very
appreciate
proud.
that. Thank you so much.
Yes. So we're not going to waste any time because I want people to hear you, to find out about your work, to find out the help that you need so that anybody anywhere who is listening, if they want to throw their support behind you, their encouragement behind you, we will find out more about you. So please tell us a bit about yourself, Aisha.
Yeah, so my name is Aisha Addo. I am based in Toronto, Canada, and I am a social entrepreneur with a focus on creating safe spaces for girls and women. So essentially, what that means is that the work that I do is centered around the empowerment of girls and women, and I do that by being the founder of a not-for-profit organization called Power to Girls Foundation. And with Power to Girls, we run programs in Canada and in Ghana where we provide girls with access to resources, support, personal development, mentorship, and entrepreneurship programs to be able to provide them with economic empowerment as well. I also do a little bit work in the tech space. So one of my other businesses that I had started is called Drive Her, which is a rideshare platform that is created specifically to connect to connect women to female drivers. And recently, my organization, Power to Girls, also created this application that essentially is designed to connect girls to mentors and each other. So really looking at, providing accessibility to women that are professionals that are career women that have been in different um, fields in different sectors. And yeah, like I'm really excited to be here and to really get the opportunity to have this conversation with you. You are actually, of course, one of the people that like I really look up to and have paved an amazing way for a lot of us within the space. So I'm very humbled to get the opportunity to be here as well.
Thank you. And it's good to see you rise. Like I see you on TV, I see you on social media. You're not playing. And I thought this is what I have wanted my life to be about, to come in contact with a young girl who has big hopes and dreams. And maybe because I passed through her life, she now begins to gather the courage as she goes on. Because the path you've chosen is not a 9 to 5 job where you go and sit in the office and you're secure. It is one that you have to take chances, be bold, refuse to accept no, and all of that. So, congratulations. I
Thank you
want
so
you You're welcome. I want you to tell us specifically a bit more about some of the work the foundation has done, to impact girls and women specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started running in 2011, and so far we've worked with over 500 girls throughout our program. So currently in Canada, we've established a partnership with one of the biggest school boards, which is the Toronto Catholic School Board, and we actually run our programs within the school board. So our program is actually now across 10 schools within the school board. And then we also run, of course, different programming on the side. We also have an annual conference that essentially brings about 300 girls every year to the Catholic Education Center for them to hear from speakers, from participate in workshops, and really get a chance to connect with each other. So our work really spans across different sectors. But one of the key things that I think is important, and one of the key differentiators for us, is that we've created a space that allows for the girls to truly be themselves. So we look at a girl from the holistic aspect. So not just around providing them with the skills, providing them with the resources, but then also how are we ensuring that the girl is actually coming with her full self. So we do a lot of work around mental well-being. We do a lot of work around, personal development, building up their self-esteem, and taking them through programming that allows for them to challenge some of the narratives that they've heard about themselves. So it is a very holistic work that we do, and it's something that I'm very, very proud of. We've had girls that, the education system or even the teachers sometimes have told them, you're not going to graduate from university, you're not smart enough, and they end up going to university, graduating with honors, and then also come back to Power to Girls and serve as facilitators or mentors or volunteers. So it's very beautiful and very humbling, to be able to be a part of these girls' lives, and their journeys, really.
Awesome. You know, I'm listening to you and just feeling joy and smiling. And I'm looking at you as a young girl, right?
Yeah.
The Aisha that I met, and now a young woman. And I'm listening to all of this energy that is coming out of you. You're very sure of what you're talking about. What do you think gives you the power and the courage? Because I know the work that you do is not easy. I mean, I do the same. It's
Yeah.
not easy. So I just want to find out from you, because even I myself at my age, sometimes I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing? You question yourself, right?
Yeah.
But then seeing a girl like you answers my question, right? So for you, what is the base of all this confidence and all this power? What is the base? What prompts you to do this and tells you that you can do that and keep going higher and higher?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, it brings me so much joy to hear you say that. For me, I think it really stems from a couple of things. So, one is I draw a lot of confidence from the girls that I get the opportunity to work with, because
Mhm.
they, in a way, they also, like you said, they are also a reflection of myself. So they reflect to me why I keep going and why I have to keep going, right?
Right.
But then I think the true essence of my confidence really comes from understanding who I am as a person and understanding what, my value is and what my worth is. Society will tell you to be so many things by yourself. And I think once I kind of shed that, that light on, the importance of knowing my true self and coming to terms with who I am. And that's not to say that I am perfect in any way, shape, or form. It's just that I am able to draw strength from myself, my inabilities, my flaws, my capabilities, my potential, all of those different things that make me who I am. And I think that is really what, keeps me grounded as well, because
Mhm.
now I recognize that when I am myself, I allow for the girls that I work with or anyone else actually that comes into my space to also be themselves. So I think there's a famous quote by I think it's Marian Wilson, that talks about, when we shine our light, we, like, subconsciously and unawares to us, we're also giving others the opportunity to shine their light as well. So for me, it really is about being in touch with my true self and,
Mhm.
accepting myself as I am and not trying to be someone else, but then recognizing that who I am as an individual is enough, and what I bring to the table or my values cannot be determined by someone else but myself. So I think that really is for me what keeps me going and what keeps me anchored, as well.
Wow. Okay, Aisha. Now, the question I have again, based on this believing in yourself, finding yourself, working from your own center, and all of that. Have you always felt that way?
No, that was it was a work in progress, and it was a journey on its own, right? So I I realized that as I was growing Power to Girls, and Power to Girls was my very first, my very first experience into entrepreneurship, into starting something by myself and seeing it grow. So for me, as I was growing Power to Girls and as Power to Girls was growing, I as an individual was also growing, right? Because I was getting in touch with myself. I was being held accountable by the girls that I was working with,
Hmm.
and I was able to really like reflect on things from a different perspective. So for me, it's not like confidence is not something that you get up one day and then it's there. Like, it's something that you have to work on, and
Yes.
that is the same thing for knowing who you are and figuring out who you are. It's something that you constantly have to work on. The self work doesn't stop because you become confident all of a sudden. No, like, every single day I'm discovering parts of myself that I didn't know 10 years ago, that I didn't know 5 years ago. So it's a
Mm.
work in progress. But I think what really, is vital to this journey is, being honest with yourself and being true to yourself, because it's so easy to get caught up in everything else but you.
Yeah.
So it really is taking those times out for myself, working on myself, self-care, taking care of myself, my mind, spirit, body, all of that stuff. And I think, once you've been able to identify what it is that makes you who you are, now your job is to work on that and to improve that, right? And to turn the flaws into strengths, and to draw from the strengths, as a way of increasing your own capacity. So it really is a lifelong journey. It doesn't
Mm.
stop. um
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, because I've met even 50, 60-year-old people who are like, but but you, it looks like you've taken the bull by the horn and you're like, I'm doing this, right? So congratulations on that. And I want you to know that having that kind of confidence in yourself, I like the part where you said you have to own your truth. You have to own the flaws and work with it. Because many women in particular, I often speak on women's behalf, not because I have anything against men, but I can relate to what
Absolutely.
women feel. Women through many circumstances begin to not look at ourselves. It looks like we take care of everybody but ourselves. So at your age, if you have to tell another young girl, right, to 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 get a hold of themselves and things like that, and you feel like they feel like you're pushing them, what would you say to them?
I think, one of the things that's really important, in our work, and it's something that you mentioned earlier, is reminding folks of, not necessarily reminding, amplifying the voices of women and girls, right? So when I first started Power to Girls, one of the things that I had to, let go of, and it was an ideology that I had to let go of, was the fact that I can change someone. And
Mm,
the reason why I had to let go of that idea was because I recognized that I do not have the physical capacity to change anyone. I can provide folks with information, with support, with resources that would impact them to make a change for themselves. Because I realize that a lot of times we want things for people that they don't necessarily want for themselves. And that is the
mm,
reason why it is so important to, again, bring it back to self, and, really doing that reflection and that personal development. Because
mm,
without that, everything else that you add to a person becomes nonsensical. And I
mm,
share that because if you do not know who you are, or you've not come to terms with who you are, any skill that I give you is going to be a burden onto you, right?
yes,
Any
yes.
blessing that you're not prepared for becomes a curse, because then you're going to feel like, oh, and Aisha, you want me to do this and you want me
And
to
you
do
want me to
this.
do
But
that?
once you've come to terms with yourself and you've come to terms with who you are, everything else that I give to you becomes a tool, right? So I had to let go of that idea that, I'm here to change. And like, even with that understanding came even us, rewording some of the things that we said our values are and what our vision was. So
Right,
instead, it becomes, we provide girls the tools, the resources, for them to become holistic in terms of, in every aspect of their lives. And that's
right.
the reason why, that self aspect is so important, because without it, everything else is just not important. It doesn't, like,
Mm,
nothing else adds up, because it always starts with you. So
yeah,
normally when, I encounter girls, or even women in some cases, that are still trying to figure out who they are and are still going through those motions, my initial thought is really, have you taken the time out for you? Have you
mm,
figured out who you are as a person? Why do you do things the way that you do? Like, I'm someone that, my friends will say I ask a lot of questions. And
yeah,
a lot of times when I'm asking questions, people might feel like, yo, why are you asking me so much questions? But I've been able to get answers through the questions that a lot of people are afraid to ask, right?
right.
sometimes when, you know, I'll give an example. We had a program and there was this girl that, you know, she comes to class, she comes to program, and she's just so quiet. And, you know, I was the person that, you know, was in charge of dropping her off home after every program. So I just started having a conversation with her, and she's like, you know, I don't like being amongst people. Like, you know, I actually have a little bit of a social anxiety, but then I love being among the girls, and I love this program so much because it really gets me thinking, and it
Mm,
really gets me to question some of the things that, you know, I've come to know about myself. So for me, that brings me so much joy. And then, like, really just even having that moment alone with her to be able to, you know, ask that question and getting her to be comfortable with who she is. And, you know, we create this space at Power to Girls where it's like, whether you have social anxiety, whether you have depression, when you come into that space, none of those things matter, because we
mhm.
recognize that we are all experiencing that in different ways,
Yes,
shapes, and forms. And
right.
your ability to connect with me is not a reflection on you, or it's not a reflection on me. It just means that you need more space to be yourself. And I think that's what's important. You know, once you allow people
Mm,
to come into spaces as their true selves and as their whole selves, they're able to benefit so much more from everything else that, you know, you're available to give to them. So for me, that really goes both ways, and I apply
mhm.
that same, you know, understanding to myself. And, you know,
Wow.
being gentle with myself as I am gentle with the girls that I work with, because I also, as a person and as an individual, deserve to be gentle with myself. So yeah, that's
So, in all of this, what I'm hearing is you need to go to self.
yes.
You need to like leave everything alone, come to self, come to self, accept self, your
Mhm.
truth, your faults, your whatever.
Yeah.
Then you can take on another thing.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, Aisha. This message is not, it's coming from you, but it's a message that women, I will tell you, women 50s, 60s, 70s, who maybe lived their life pleasing others because that is what they were taught,
Hmm.
pleasing others because, that is what they know, pleasing others and left themselves behind, need to hear. What I'm hearing you say is that no matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, once you accept self, you can do the rest of life. Am I correct?
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. Absolutely. That really is it. It's coming to terms with who you are and accepting yourself. Because, you know, a lot of times our our desire to be liked and our desire to be you know, appreciated and healed and all of those different things stem from not coming to terms with who we are, not accepting ourselves. And this is
Hmm.
something that I normally say is that I can't expect anyone to give me something that I'm not willing to give myself. So if it is love, am I giving myself love? If it is
Hmm.
patience, am I being patient with myself? Because when you recognize that, you also recognize your worth and your value, because then no one can come and say, oh, you know, this is what I am giving to Aisha because she doesn't have it, but it's more
Yes.
so it becomes an addition, right? So you also
Hmm.
don't go searching for it. So because I recognize that, hey, no, I'm gentle with Aisha. So when I'm interacting with someone, I would expect that same level of gentleness. So
Hmm.
whatever it is that you are, you attract. So yeah, it really comes back to you as an
Oh,
individual, as a person.
I could go on and on about this self business, because I relate to it on many levels. And I know that many people that I'm surrounded by um, relate to it one way or the other. A lot of times, I don't mean to minimize um, depression and anxiety and all that, but sometimes I find that because we're running away from a certain truth about ourselves, we end up being disappointed. We end up not liking ourselves, which then leads to anxiety, then it leads to fear and all of that. And sometimes I'm like, You just need to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want anybody to come and tell me I'm minimizing depression or I'm minimizing anxiety, but even with myself, the day I'm able to tell the truth, or
Mm-hmm.
the day I'm able to face a situation that is very difficult for me, I can't tell you the freedom that I feel. And then sometimes you find out the consequences you were afraid of wasn't even there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important, like, to be like you said, being truthful to yourself and being honest with yourself, is the first step, and I mean, even with folks that, experience depression, anxiety, and mental health issues, the question always comes back to if you've accepted it, right? And what you're normally told is that do not accept it as part of you, but then accept it as something that you are going through, because you
Yes,
are going through it, right? It's not it doesn't define you. Your depression doesn't
yes,
define you. Your anxiety doesn't define you. It's something that you are experiencing. And the thing with experience is that experiences come to an end. Experiences end, right? Experiences are not eternal. Experiences are not, permanent. There's something that you go through in order for you
mhm,
to get to the other side. So there's a lot of different aspects of, our being and our existence that, I think once we come to terms and we just really understand who we are and take that time to do so, we understand a lot of other things better. And I am happy to be on that journey for myself. um
yes.
Being able to share and to be able to also really shed that light on the lovely girls that I get the opportunities to work with.
Have you been on TEDx?
No, I've done a couple of TEDx talks. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Aisha, how do you do that? Because that's my next goal. I love TEDx.
Yes, I've done a
Yeah.
couple.
Did you enjoy them?
So they were both actually in Ghana. And it was very
Okay.
interesting because I was talking about entrepreneurship. So that was also like a passion of mine. For me, honestly, it's like once I care about something and I have a passion for something,
You
it's
just
just
roll.
I just go. I
I
just
know
go.
that. So I'm sure several running the organization and several businesses, it's quite challenging, right? And in this day of Black Lives Matter, I know you set out on this journey before Black Lives Matter
Yes.
blew up, but I
Yes.
want to ask you, how have you worked those spaces in which maybe you went and you were alone because I live it, in which people doubted you because you're a Black girl, in which people doubted you because you don't know what you're talking to about according to them. How have you managed to hang in there and to go on and build more and more?
That's a really good question. And I think that was because I was able to define for myself the legacy that I wanted to leave. And, as flowery as this may sound, I recognize that, some of these experiences, I had to experience it so that my girls wouldn't have to. So for me, it was always a matter of what was the legacy that I wanted to leave, and what kind of spaces did I want to create for the girls that I get the opportunity to work with. So like you said, like, our organization is focused on working with Black and marginalized girls, specifically. So for me, every time I enter spaces and, I'm turned away, or I enter spaces and they question, why are you here? Like, who do you think you are? Or who do you think you are to be talking to us about how to do this or how to do that? I draw my strength from the girls because I recognize that I am enduring this so that they don't have to. So that
Mm,
5 years down the line, when they walk into a room, they wouldn't have to be questioned because of the color of their skin or because of their gender or because of, the opportunity that someone felt like, they don't deserve. But it's because they actually have worked hard, they're more than capable, and because they have that voice to be able to speak for themselves and to amplify their own voices and the voices of the people in their community. So
mm,
the journey doesn't stop. And, as a Black woman in Canada, it can get challenging. I shouldn't even say can, it is
Mm.
challenging in its own way. Um, and there's a lot of like systematic barriers that you have to overcome. But as you get older and as you come to recognize that your existence is not for anyone else but yourself, you start to move differently and you start to understand things
Mm-mm.
differently. And you start to move in some of these spaces differently, because then now you recognize that actually, you know what? I'm not going to dim my light so that you feel better about yourself. And then now it's more so, maybe we need to check, why are you intimidated by a Black woman? Why do you feel threatened by the existence or the presence of a Black woman? Now it becomes a way for you as an individual to
To
reflect on yourself,
question, to
right?
question and reflect on yourself.
Exactly. So then once we've established that and we've been able to have that conversation, we're able to recognize that actually this was never a me problem. It was always a you problem. So you need to fix that. And that has been my motto ever since, is that no, this is not a me problem. It is you. You are the person that is, exhibiting these things. You're the one that is perpetuating these things. let's let's
Let's
explore that.
discuss
Why?
it.
Yeah, let's discuss this. Why is it so? Right. And then I move.
I
Because,
like,
yeah.
you know what? You see, what you just said is very, very critical for all of us to learn. The reason I'm saying that is, I don't know about you, but for some of us that grew up in Ghana and the way we were brought up, it was about don't question, don't ask why, just accept it, leave it to God. God will take care of it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're struggling, you're
Mhm.
suffering. Deep
Yeah.
down inside, you know your own truth. You know within yourself that what you're asking for, what you're enduring, what is being done to you, you do not deserve. But
Yep.
because we were raised to be quiet, don't ask too many questions. If it didn't come to you, it's because God was not ready to give it to you. Many, many, many people that I know are living with that thought process, to the point where, for people like you and I who tend to push boundaries, now become the odd one. So, what would you say? Because this message, Aisha, is not only going out to young people, it's going out to people who have dreams, it's going out to people who have sat on their dreams, it's going out to people who have been rejected many times. So, what would you say about that? Like, do you hear what I'm saying? My mind is blowing, right? What would
Absolutely.
you say?
Absolutely. I think, there's a lot of things that, and this is the thing, right? You shared something about, being from, African cultures and the conditioning that we've come to accept as part of our everyday life, right? So part of that self-work is, unlearning, right? And unlearning is essentially letting go of a lot of the ideologies that you've come to create as
Mm,
reality. So,
yes.
for a lot of us, our faith plays a great part of our existence and part of our
Mhm,
culture. So,
mhm.
everything becomes, taking it to God. And, and for a lot of us, I think I'm back. Sorry, did you
Yes,
lose me?
yes, we did.
Oh, well, yes. So, this is not to say that I'm an atheist and I'm a non believer in any way, shape, or form, but it is to say that there has to be um, a lot of things that we hear from the Word of God is about reflection, it is about self. It is about do unto others as you'd want others to do unto you. But then it always comes back to you. It never is about the other person. And I think that is a lot of times where the disconnect is, because we focus so much on other people, what other people are not doing for us, what other people are doing to us, what someone else is saying about me, when someone else is not saying about me. Why is someone else getting this recognition and I'm not, without actually focusing on, well, what are you doing for yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? How are you empowering yourself? How are you learning new things about yourself? So there's this culture that we've created of putting the responsibility of who we are on someone else and on other people. And this really and truly stems from our culture, right? Our culture tells young girls, you're supposed to sit at home, look pretty, and your husband will come and take you from your father's house, and then he's gonna take you into his house, and then you're going to take care of him, and you're going to do all of these things. Whereas guys, men are raised up to become quote unquote providers. And then again, there's also a toxic aspect of that, because they are not allowed to actually be boss and to be themselves. So at every point in our lives and at every point of our existence, there's a responsibility that is being placed on us that actually has nothing to do with us, that has nothing to do with developing ourselves, that has nothing to do with actually getting to know who we are. So to anyone that is discouraged, that is going through the motions, and this is not to say that once you figure it out, life is going to be easy. Actually, life becomes harder once you know who you are, because then now you know the things that you can't put up with, the things that you can't participate in, and in some way, shape, or form, you might find that to be annoying, to be limiting, or to be boring. So you have to be ready for that self-work. But on the flip side, you're able to enjoy things for what they are. You're able to appreciate yourself. You're able to take care of yourself more. You're able to give of yourself from a place of fullness and from a place of wholeness. So when something doesn't serve you, you're able to walk away from that. So
I like
it
pause,
really comes
pause
down to
right there. Pause right there.
hmm,
This statement, when something doesn't serve you, you need to walk away from it. And I think we're also afraid of that. For example, you're in a relationship. The relationship, in your heart of hearts that it's killing you. Like
yeah,
you're the next rest in peace coming up. You're the next dead body in a freezer. You're the next lunatic in a mental home. But we're afraid because of safety. We're
yeah.
afraid because we don't know what's on the other side. So I want you to repeat. I'll repeat it and then you repeat it. When a situation doesn't serve you, you need to walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah, no, absolutely. And you hit the nail right on the head there, right? It's one of the hardest things for anyone is letting go, right? And that is something that for a lot of us we're still figuring out, right? And I think what really makes it, beautiful is that there is a level of freedom that comes from letting go that you don't get when you're holding on to something. So
Mm,
for example, like, and this might sound very weird, but let's say it's hot, it's in the summertime, and you want a glass of water, and you've gone to the store, there's no water, and there is just a thirst, right? But then the moment that you're like, you know what, I am not going to hold this anymore. I am going to do everything within my power to find water to drink. The moment you say that to yourself and you find that water and you actually drink that water, there is a level of freedom that it gives you, because you recognize that, wow, like, you appreciate water more, but then
mm-hmm.
you've also been able to satisfy a thirst that you had, right? You've been able to quench a thirst that you had. So that's the same thing for when it's relationships, when it's other things. There has to be that determination. And that's the reason why I said earlier on that, like, I let go of the idea that I could change someone else. And then I
Mm,
actually embraced the idea that it is not my physical responsibility to change anyone, but
no.
I provide resources, support, impact. For
Mm-hmm.
that is to impact them and
Mhm.
empower them to change their circumstances. So
Woo.
there's a lot of things that we have to let go of. And there's a lot of, a lot of times it is ideologies. It is, the voices of other people that cause us to hold on to certain things that we shouldn't hold on to. So
Mm.
once you let go of that, and you let go of this notion of I have to please everyone and someone else has to be happy, like it is uncomfortable. You would hear the murmurs, you hear the the people talking in the background, you would hear it, but you have to be strong-willed and recognize that actually, you know what, I hear y'all, but I really don't hear y'all because your definition of me is different from my definition of me.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
example you gave, you said that the water example you gave, you said was weird, but you're the weird one because
I am. I am. I am. I fully embrace my weirdness. I tell people
no,
all the time, I'm like, listen, I am a weirdo. I am the
no.
awkward black girl in every situation. But you know what? I embrace that because that is
But
part of
listen,
who I
no,
am,
no, no. But listen, I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and I said, people like me are very weird in the Ghanaian community, you know.
Absolutely.
And I know because people will say things to me like, "Would you brony? Would you be na wujina ho? Yebema ye nisu bi na wujina ho." Meanwhile, I'm thinking this needs to be done.
Yeah.
When you look in our community, where are our role models? Yet,
Hmm.
our young men, our young women, even the men and women need role models. But when I
Absolutely.
take the step, mind you, I'm sacrificing in the step that I'm taking. Whilst you're sleeping, I'm probably up reading about how to do something, and you're going to call me Obroni. The thing that annoys me about that is, are you saying that everything that is good is white?
Mm,
Is that what you're telling me? Are
yeah.
you saying that every move that I make that is contrary to maybe our cultural values, or maybe it's not even contrary, it's just you've accepted what you want to accept? So I'm feeling all this power and I'm feeling all this energy, and I'm feeling like you're moving on no matter what anybody says. So you started
Absolutely.
you started out with Power to Girls Foundation. What made you decide? Because I know running a foundation is difficult enough. Why
Yeah.
didn't you stop there? What made you go on to come up with is it Drive Her?
Yes.
Yes. What made you decide you're running? I suppose you were working a job and running the foundation.
Yes, yes. So when I started, I was working at a community organization. And after my contract was over, I'm like, you know what? I think it's time for me to focus full time on Power to Girls and the work that we're doing because we had built partnerships. The organization was growing, and I felt like it was time for me to go full force. So with that, running Power to Girls, I also then started Drive Her, which is the rideshare platform. And then like even with that, I ended up having to put it on hold as a result of COVID and other things. But one of the key things that I think the whole experience so far has taught me is the importance of believing in yourself and believing in your vision. So you said something earlier about like we have this thing where we become comfortable with culture and we become comfortable with what we know and what is comfortable in itself. But growth comes from your moments of discomfort. Your growth points are in all of the times when you are not comfortable in a situation. And this is not comfortable in a sense of, someone is making you feel uncomfortable and staying there. No, that's not what I mean by comfortable. But what I mean is more when something is about to happen or you want to do something, but you feel like, I'm okay, I'm content with
Mm,
where I'm at. content,
Mm-hmm.
I'm content. I'm content. And I don't have to push myself. I don't have to question myself. I'm
Yeah.
content in here. Why do I want to start a business? Why do I want to have to, lead other people? Why
Go.
do I that? So for me, I was never one to be content with just enough. I always felt like there was more, like there was more
Mm-hmm.
that I was capable of. And the key thing is it wasn't necessarily even more that, I could get, but it was
Mm-hmm.
more about more that I'm capable of. There's so much more that I can
I
do.
am capable of.
Yes. And it's in recognizing that no, like Aisha, this is not it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's more of you. There's more that has been deposited in you that you
Mm-hmm.
have to let go of. So it really was that notion that I started thinking that yeah, I can be so much more, and I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed of that, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not upset at that. If that makes someone else uncomfortable, again,
Oh
that's a
well.
you problem, not a me problem. But I'm not
The
going to
you problem.
that's it. It's a you problem, not a me problem.
And
But I'm
the
not going to
funny
dim my
thing,
light.
I like, I pray. And I want you to please share this video. We'll send you the link. Share it so that other young girls can feel your power and can feel your energy. That was my main reason that I decided I had to find you and bring you on. Because even though we're not coming across each other as often as we used to, I see you on social media. I read about you, Aisha here, Aisha there. And as you know, in Ghana right now, we have a 12-week leadership program where girls between 13 and 17 are coming. We requested 40, we got about 120 girls. And let me tell you, these girls come on a consistent basis, right? These are girls who come from poor homes. And Ghana, when we talk about poor homes, we're seriously talking poor homes. So I find that this message is important for those girls to hear, especially those girls who live in poverty, so much poverty. On the other hand, here in Canada, I do the same thing you do. Girls here need to hear even this message even more. They need, so do well to share it. I like what you said about there's more in me. There's more in me. What makes you know that there's more in you? For me, my mind speaks, my heart speaks, my soul speaks. It almost disturbs me all the time. When the next idea is coming, it's like, listen, we're coming after you, and you have no choice in it. How do you know that there's more in you to give to society?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it comes down to the unrest, right? So when I am, creating, or like for me, like every waking moment is like, oh my God, that's an opportunity, that's an opportunity, that's an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's never a dull moment for me. And I make it a point to actually write things down. So I have a journal it's called the Thinker Journal, that I write down all of my ideas in. And every single time I have an idea, I write it down. Every single time I have a thought about something, I write it down. And I write it down because of two things. Because for me, it does not exist and it is not real and tangible until I write it down. And
Mm-hmm.
writing it down gives it life in itself, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
really propels me to then, okay, it's written down, it's real, it's tangible. Now go out there and do it. So that really is what for me is always constantly pushing me, because there's an unrest, I
Mm.
I see things and I see opportunities. I see problems and I see opportunities. I see, things that are broken down and I see potential. So for me, it really again comes back to knowing who I am and knowing what my value systems are, knowing what I stand for, knowing what I represent, and recognizing that in every aspect of my life and in every aspect of my journey, there is something within me that I have to deposit. So when I was in my early teens, it was power to girls, and I've deposited that. Now that I'm going into my late 20s, it's something else, and I've deposited that. So really at every point in my life, I am exploring more of who I am, and I am seeing, okay, this is where I need to drop. 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 And I just carry that with me, you know. And of
Mm,
course, it's also like a strong anchor of faith. Like I said earlier, there's a practicality that comes with faith that, you know, once you understand who you are and once you've taken the time out to reflect on who you are, faith looks different to you, right?
mm.
A life, you know, you become engulfed in the actual existence of what it is that you're anchored in, as opposed to when you are a bystander, when someone else is telling you, oh, this is what you are supposed to do. So there is a whole world that opens up to you when, you know, you're aware of who you are. And a lot of times I say this to my friends, and you know, they think I'm weird when I say this, is that, like, you know, there's nothing that you can tell me about myself that I don't already know. And the reason why I say that is because I have spent a lot of time figuring out myself. I spent a lot of time knowing about myself. So when you say something like Aisha's weird, I'll be like, yeah, I know.
I
When
truly
you say
am. It's
Aisha
like
is
it's
rude,
like
I'll be
listen,
like, yeah,
it's
I
like you
can't
could have
be.
told it's like you could have told me something different. Find something else to tell me. But now I want us to go into the sweetness of after the idea drops. I'm smiling already. After the idea drops and you sit down and you plan it and you execute it. So I'm like, oh, that is so sweet. You feel like you gained something. You feel like it's called I did that. I did that.
I did
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't mean to brag or anything, but I did that. You
But
know.
you see, that is the thing, and this is something that I learned this week. So it's actually funny that you said that, because my team and I, are Power to Girls, we participated in this workshop with you know, some executives, and we were telling them about the work that we do, and they're like, "You do amazing work. Why are you not bragging about your work?" You know, and I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, you know, it is this. You know, it's like this." It's like, no, 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 you need to. And these were not people of color, these were not black people. They're like,
yeah.
you need to brag about your work. And the lady left us with something. She's like, listen, you're doing amazing work and you need to talk about it. And she said that it is not bragging if it is true. And that was
It's
so
not
profound
bragging
for
if
me.
it is
If it's
true.
true, because yes, I did that.
I
I
did that.
did that. I'm not
Sleepless nights.
bragging.
It's
I
called
did it.
sleepless
Exactly.
nights, losing money, being impatient with it, losing
I
sleep. I
did
did
that.
that.
I did that.
Let's
So at
clap
the
for
end of the
ourselves.
day, no, really, at the end of the day, I even have to stop playing small. And again, you see, there's this aspect of our culture that really breeds a sense of humility that is not always healthy for us, because we don't want, you know, I don't want someone to say, oh, you know, and Ochanaho, and like, you know, like, you know, she's this and she's that, so you know, we're gonna play small. And although we're doing amazing things, you know, we're working with over 500 girls in a year, you know, we're impacting girls, you know, we're like, we are providing employment for girls, we're doing all of these things. No, we're just gonna play small, we're gonna be in our little corner. And
So
I was just
others
like,
will be happy.
no, you playing small does not serve anybody. You
Somebody,
playing small
I heard
does not
somebody
serve
say,
anybody.
I heard somebody say the other day as motivation, like, you see that humility you're playing, it's a sin. And he said, do you know why it's a sin? Because playing small minimizes the light for others. There are
Yeah.
many people walking around struggling. So you need to cut out that crap. And a few friends have said that to me, you know, because sometimes I like to be humble and everything.
Yeah.
When people are like, oh, Anna, I'm like, oh, no, it's all. And I have a few friends who like tell me the truth. One is like, listen to me. You need to stop being fake.
Yeah, that fake humility ain't gonna go nowhere.
It ain't
Mm-mm.
gonna help nobody.
Mm-mm. It ain't
So
gonna help
my
no one.
so my
Yeah.
Aisha, you are an amazing girl. I could talk with you forever. So I think I'm going to have a segment for the young ones. We'll call it for the young ones. But
Uh-huh.
as I keep talking to you, I know the message coming out of you is not only for the young ones, it is for all of us. And so continue to shine your light,
Yeah.
continue
Thank
to
you.
break barriers, continue to rip it. And
Thank
you
you.
know, I'm always there to support you, to speak words of encouragement into your life, because at your age and with what you're doing, it's a lot of sacrifice. I
Thank
know.
you.
Nobody has to tell me that. It's a lot of sacrifice. But like you said, don't forget to take care of you. Don't forget to breathe. Because, like you said, when you breathe and you can accept you, then the beautiful you, the bigger you comes out. So, Aisha, keep up the good work. But let me give you and all of us another poem to inspire us everywhere we are. I thought about our beauty, our women's beauty, what it is, and how sometimes because of life, we tend to beat ourselves down. It says, elegant eyes, enchanting face. Oh, woman, you are the trend with the prowess to set and caring to wealth, running to heights no one ever went. Woman, you are the epithet, the glance of visionaries, the mindset of warriors, wisdom of preachers, and characters of damsel. Woman, you are the goddess, the selfless to less, a leader to best,